Lahendong Geothermal Power Plant, or commonly called PLTP Lahendong, is a renewable energy power plant located in North Sulawesi. PLTP Lahendong consists of 4 generating units, which is unit having an installed capacity of 20 MW, which has been operating since 2001. The energy source for PLTP Lahendong comes from geothermal energy in the bowels of the earth. When compared to fossil fuels, geothermal is a clean energy source and emits only a few greenhouse gases. Geothermal energy contained in the water fluid can be in the form of steam, liquid, or mixture of both, which is more than 1 kilometer below the Earth's surface. This hot fluid has a high temperature and pressure. Some even have temperatures of more than 300 degrees Celsius. This makes geothermal energy a very abundant energy provider that can replace the use of fossil energy and coal. Geothermal energy from PLTP Lahendong is obtained from the production wells or Pertamina Geothermal Energy (PGE) steam field, which is produced from the earth reservoir with a depth of about 3,000 feet to 10,000 feet from the Earth's surface. Steam obtained from the bowels of the Earth will naturally rise due to the high pressure on the reservoir. The resulting steam is still mixed with brine or hot water, so separation is carried out in the separator. Where the hot steam is separated from the brine is separated and then injected back into the reservoir to be heated again. Steam from the separator is then flowed through a 1 kilometer piping system to the scrubber. The piping system is designed to bend a certain distance to dampen vibration and expansion in the pipe flowing with high pressure and high temperature steam. To reduce solid particles in the steam before it is distributed to PLN, filtration is carried out in a scrubber. This scrubber is also the steam transaction point between PGE and PLN. Steam from PGE then goes into the demister to separate the particles that still pass from the scrubber. The demister is designed to have an efficiency of 99.99%, so that the pressure that enters the turbine doesn't drop or is in accordance with the turbine control limit. Before entering the turbine, the steam goes through the strainer, which functions as a trap or minimizes solid particles formed from the sediment in the demister, so that the steam entering the turbine is clean. After the steam strainer passes the main stop valve, which operates normally open or closed, this MSV functions as a safety valve in the event of disturbance that causes the MSV trip or stop unit to close, so that the steam will be held and not enter the turbine. Then after MSV, the steam passes through the main control valve or MCV, which operates throttle, following the loading pattern on the turbine, or regulates the amount of flow steam that enters the turbine. The steam that enters the turbine with a pressure of 7 to 8 bar and a temperature of 170 degrees Celsius will rotate the turbine blade that is connected to the generator so that it will convert potential energy into kinetic energy. Then the kinetic energy that has been generated is converted into electrical energy by the generator through the principal electric motion, with an output voltage of 11 kV before raising the voltage to 150 kV in the step-up transformer, which is then supplied to the solid gauge system. The steam which is used to rotate the turbine then enters the condenser to convert steam into water through a condensation process in the condenser with the direct contact type. At this stage, there is a direct cooling process, namely, the turbine output steam is cooled using the main cooling system. During the condensation process, the condenser operates on a vacuum with a pressure of 0.120 bar absolute at full of 20 megawatts of load. The vacuum condition in the condenser is assisted by the gas removal system. In this system, there are two-state ejectors for extracting non-condensable gas or NCG in the condenser using steam from the thermistor output line. The first state ejector functions to extract NCG from the intercondenser to the aftercondenser. NCG that is still trapped in the aftercondenser is then discharged into the atmosphere through the cooling tower fan. The condensation process in the main condenser uses cooling water from the cooling tower, which is circulated using the vacuum from the main condenser. Meanwhile, the auxiliary cooling system is divided into two, namely primary cooling and secondary cooling. For secondary cooling, the water from the makeup tank is circulated using a secondary auxiliary cooling water pump for cooling the generator cooler and lube oil cooler as a heat exchanger between lubricant and water. For primary cooling, water is circulated for the cooling process in the intercondenser and aftercondenser using water from the cooling tower, which is pumped using the primary auxiliary cooling water pump. Then the condensed water in the intercondenser and aftercondenser leads to the main condenser. The condensed water from condensation in the main condenser is then pumped using a hot wheel pump to the cooling tower. In the cooling tower, there is a process of heat exchange by convection between water and air with a counterflow, so that the resulting water temperature in the cooling tower basin is 28 degrees Celsius to be recirculated to the cooling system. Overflow water from the cooling tower basin enters the re-injection basin, which is then pumped into the PG injection wheel to be re-injected into the Earth reservoir to be heated before being reused. That is what makes geothermal energy a renewable energy. In addition to the cooling system, there is also a lubricant system that functions to lubricate turbine bearings. The lubrication system is supplied from the lube oil tank, then the pressure is increased with a main oil pump or MOP of 6 bars. Then it enters the lube oil cooler or shell and tube. Temperature from 65.5 degrees Celsius to 45 degrees Celsius. Then distributed to each turbine bearing and recirculation to the lube oil tank.